All this is good information to know, but guess what? This does it for us today. I'm Annie Taylor, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.
Live from Tampa Bay streaming news leader, this is ABC Action News, taking action for you.
Right now at 5, a bar full of college students becomes a hunting ground for a mass shooter. Families slowly learning if their missing loved ones were among the victims.
His name was Cody Kaufman, my firstborn son.
We're uncovering the suspected shooter's troubled past and the honors for the hero cop who died while saving others.
A lot to get to tonight, but we begin with breaking news. ABC Action News working to learn what led up to a deputy-involved shooting in Palm Harbor this afternoon. I'm Jamison Euler.
And I'm Wendy Ryan. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Let's get right out to ABC Action News reporter Michael Paluska. He's live where deputies just took that suspect into custody. Michael?
Jamison, Wendy, there are 2 locations that the Pinellas County investigators are looking at. One is in this quiet neighborhood here off of Belcher Road and Ranchette Lane. If we zoom in, you can see detectives have some evidence markers down right there. Looks like some white shoes and then possibly a water bottle. This is where that suspect was taken into custody, but we don't know much more about that person. We want to take you now to the video we shot just a short time ago at the Thorntons. That is on Tampa Road and US 19. This is where all of this went down. Apparently some Pinellas County Sheriff's investigators came up on that man that was at that gas pump number 8. There's some glass on the ground, and what witnesses tell us is they heard 8 to 10 shots. Investigators telling us that the people doing the shooting were the deputies, that the suspect, the person they took into custody, did not do an exchange of gunfire and they did not fire back at deputies. A deputy on scene when we just got here just told us quite simply that the car is around the corner to the left and that we can't see it, but the bad guy is in custody. Now, there was a public information officer on scene that we were supposed to get some information from. They told us that this will have to be a bigger news event because multiple agencies are involved. There was a tweet this morning from Clearwater PD about a person they were looking for that had robbed a Thornton's gas station this morning. They were looking for them. He would not confirm whether or not that is the person that was arrested here behind me, but the public information officer said that is something that they are looking into. Definitely an active scene here, 2 different locations. We'll keep you posted. We're live here in Pinellas County tonight. Michael Paluska, ABC Action News.
Michael, thank you. Next at 5, teams are starting to mobilize as Florida's Senate race seems to be heading to a recount. The margin of votes getting slimmer.
The up-to-the-minute numbers show Rick Scott leading Bill Nelson by just 17,000 votes now. The governor's race looks to be heading for a recount as well, even though Ron DeSantis has already declared victory.
Reporter Eric Waxler is live in Hillsborough County with why these elections are now far from over. Eric?
Jamison, all around the state, votes are still being counted. Provisional ballots, mail-in ballots, and we could be headed for something unprecedented in the state of Florida, 4 recounts.
We believe that at the end of this process, Senator Nelson is going to be declared the winner and is going to return to the United States Senate.
Those are the strong words from Nelson campaign attorney Mark Elias, who specializes in recounts. He says all the votes left to count in Broward and Palm Beach will swing the election Nelson's way. That includes what's called undervoting, where numbers show many ballots turned in Broward County didn't record a vote in the Senate race.
You're never certain about anything in elections, but I'm pretty confident that what you're going to see is either markings that were not picked up by the machines in particular counting centers or a calibration issue.
But Rick Scott's campaign calls Elias a hired gun from D.C. who is trying to steal the election. Their statement says maybe next Nelson will start ranting that Russians stole the election from him. Meanwhile, the margin in the governor's race also appears close enough to trigger an automatic recount. Andrew Gillum conceded to Ron DeSantis on election night, but today in this Facebook video, he appears more optimistic.
We're hopeful that every single vote will be counted in this race, and that way that all of us can walk away feeling extremely confident about what each and every one of us did.
Hillsborough County Supervisor of Elections says his office has handled recounts before.
Numerous counties have conducted countywide recounts. You know, if you've got a county commission race, a school board race, a judge's race, those are countywide situations a lot of times, and it can trigger that countywide recount.
County officials have until Saturday to turn in their unofficial results to the state. Live in Hillsborough County, Eric Waxler, ABC Action News.
Eric, thank you. Now going in depth on the other races Eric mentioned, expected to go to a recount in the race to become Florida's next agricultural commissioner. Only 575 votes separate Democrat Nikki Fried from Republican Matt Caldwell. The margin of error even smaller there in the race to represent Hillsborough County in the state Senate. Incumbent Dana Young is trailing Democratic challenger Janet Cruz by just 289 votes. Wendy?
And we wanted to know, do these recounts make a difference in the election results? Well, according to the election reform group Fair Vote, there have been almost 4,700 statewide general elections between 2000 and 2015. Only 27 of those elections have led to recounts, and only 3 times the recount caused the results to change. And you can see how close those races are for yourself on abcactionnews.com. We've posted the full election results from the Bay Area on our homepage, so you can check out which candidates will represent you for the next few years. Jameson?
Well, right now, authorities in Southern California are slowly identifying the 12 people who died in a mass shooting inside of a crowded bar this morning. Many of the victims were students who were at the Borderline Bar and Grill for college night. They include this man you see right here. His name's Justin Meek, a 23-year-old who went to California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks. The school says he helped save lives during the violence. Meanwhile, Cody Kaufman's dad says his 22-year-old son also died. We've learned he dreamed of joining the military and looked forward to meeting a baby sister on the way in just 3 weeks.
I am very emotional right now. This is my firstborn son, and it's tough.
You should take a look here at this procession here to honor a Ventura County Sheriff's Sergeant who died saving lives overnight. Hundreds of people lined up to say goodbye at the hospital where Ron Hellis died. Hellis was a 29-year veteran of the force. He was supposed to retire next year. The sheriff says Hellis was one of the first deputies on the scene. Hellis tried to stop the gunman just moments after telling his wife on the phone he loved her.
As for that suspected gunman, the FBI is going through Ian Long's house as we speak, trying to pin down exactly a motive here. We learned minutes ago agents believe the 28-year-old acted alone, and there's no more threat to the area. Long was a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps. Investigators say he used an extended magazine he bought legally. We're told Long likely killed himself after his rampage. Authorities say they had minor run-ins with Long in the past, and neighbors told authorities he suffered from PTSD. Of course, this shooting in California brings up painful memories for people here in Florida of the Pulse nightclub attack. 49 people died inside that Orlando bar back in June of 2016. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. The One Pulse Foundation taking time today to reach out to the Thousand Oaks community. They wrote on Twitter, quote, "Take a look. Orlando embraces you, and we will not let hate win." Jameson.
An undercover sting lands correctional officers behind bars. ABC Action News reporter Melissa Mahadeo is at the Avon Park Correctional Institution, where the sheriff says the 3 officers smuggled contraband in for inmates.
And the sheriff tells us that a cell phone like this could bring in $1,000 to $2,000. So those officers stood to make a lot of fast cash.
All 3 of them confessed.
These are the correctional officers accused of attempting to smuggle cash, cigarettes, and cell phones into a state prison.
He was to keep $300 and had to turn $300 over to the inmate inside the facility.
This Walmart surveillance video captures 25-year-old Victor Medina collecting money from an undercover agent. He'd been an officer for 3 years, but Jules Loya and Nathan Lucy recently started and hadn't yet completed the academy. Sheriff Grady Judd says that's part of the problem.
They don't give polygraphs. They don't pay a livable wage.
With 24,000 employees, Sheriff Judd says Florida Corrections has little time for vetting and training compared to Polk County standards.
At the end of the day, it creates a ripe environment for corruption.
But he says if you're an officer, you better obey the law.
If you hang around and you're on the take, we're going to get to you and we're going to arrest you.
And the sheriff also told us that you can likely expect more arrests to eventually come. I'm Melissa Mahadeo for ABC Action News.
Good afternoon, everybody. Right back up near 90 degrees again today. You've got your heat, your humidity, your sea breeze, and we've got scattered storms. Sounds like July and August. Feels like it, too, as we were up near record highs. The showers are beginning to wind down in Citrus County, a few more in Sumter, and a few more develop across our interior counties over the next several hours. Mid to upper 80s inland, upper 70s to low 80s along the beach. And Futurecast this evening shows maybe 10-15% of us pick up an isolated shower, most of it east of I-75. But we're tracking our next cool front that arrives on Saturday. It won't give us any influences tonight or tomorrow morning, but it certainly will this weekend and beyond. And I'll talk about that with the 7-day coming up in just a couple of minutes.
All right, thanks, Dennis. We'll check back with you. I want you to take a look behind me at Lido Beach from Action Air One. The popular Sarasota Community Beach going to look very different in about 3 months once a new renourishment project is all complete. The $4 million effort starts today. It will replace sand that washed away during Hurricane Irma and other storms, and the beach will stay open during all that work.
We're staying on top of the hepatitis A concerns in Pinellas County. The health department there told us today 840 people have been vaccinated since September. Many of them in recent weeks after we learned a worker at the Toasted Monkey Bar and Grill tested positive for Hep A. Hundreds of other people got vaccinated after a similar exposure from a worker at Hamburger Mary's in Ybor, which is now permanently closed. Hillsborough County deputies have just identified the woman at the center of a death investigation in Lutz. Someone found 22-year-old Molly Serafin's body by the side of Sierra Pines Boulevard yesterday morning. So far, officials are only calling this a death investigation with no hints as to how Serafin might have died.
New video just in tonight. This is a second wave of St. Pete police officers heading up to Florida's Panhandle. They're going to relieve a group who's actually been helping with Hurricane Michael recovery efforts for about a month now. They say they're happy to lend a hand to their fellow law enforcement officers who've been working around the clock.
Well, if you're out and about, there's one less very long reptile you're going to have to worry about slithering past you.
Yeah, check it out. This Burmese python is one of the longest ones ever caught. Take a really close look. 17 feet 5 inches long. It weighs 120 pounds.
The hunter captured the python as part of the South Florida Water Management District's Python Elimination Program. Thank goodness. Removing species like these helps restore the Everglades.
Well, still ahead, a woman shot and killed, but local deputies never got out of their cruisers to investigate. The consequences they're now facing tonight.
And the changing downtown skyline, the way new apartments fit into a grander vision that will impact everyone, even if you don't live nearby.